Hello everyone once again, and welcome. We are Nim with you with another Unreal Tournament 2004 tutorial. In this video, we're going to talk about using sounds and setting up sound effects around our little test map so that we can give the environment a little bit more life and personality. Right now, our level is a silent space that is right now currently filled with just the sounds of jumping and grunting and death and weapon noises. And we're going to change that. So the first thing we're going to need to do is look at our actor library. And we're going to go into info. No, it's not info. Keypoint. We're going to go into Keypoint and we're going to click on Ambient Sound. And we're going to right click into our level and add ambient sound here. And I'm going to move this, whoops, instead of dragging in the window, I should probably drag in the grids so it's a little bit more accurate. So I'm going to put this speaker right here, and I'm going to find a sound that helps, I guess, express the wetness and wateriness of our little pool here. We're going to get some lapping water sounds. And to make this work, we're going to need to open up our ambient sound properties. And in sound, these are all the options that we have for adding our sound effect to our level. So I'm going to bring in our asset browser here, and we're going to go to the Sounds tab. And we're going to go to General Ambience. And right now there aren't a lot of effects in here, but we can load the entire package. And we can scroll down here, and we can get to our water effects. And we can hit play. And some of these might not actually play. There's a weird little glitch where sometimes if you select all, you click the all button, and then the sound effects will start to play. And so if you can hear these sounds, let me increase the desktop audio so that you can hear them. We have a bunch of different water effects. And we can choose one of these that we think best suits our little pool of water here. I think Water Effects 2 is going to be a good choice. So we'll go up here to Ambient Sound, and while Water Effects 2 is highlighted, we're going to click Use. And you may or may not be able to hear it, but there is a very faint ripple sound coming from our speaker. And if we increase the volume of the sound to 255, for example, you can hear it a little bit louder. Now we can do other things, like we can change the pitch of the sound, let's say up to 127. And that gives the water a little bit more of a shallow quality the higher in pitch we go. I think this might be a little bit too high, so we'll go with like 95. I think that's pretty good. Now, let's go ahead and look at the radius of our actor, because there's a couple of other things that are worth noting. Let's move this out of the way. Let's keep this here. Actors, radii. Now, there are two different radii that are listed here. One is the sound radius, and the other is the transient sound radius. Now, the radius by itself is anytime that you are inside that radius, the sound will be playing pretty much at full volume or whatever volume you currently have the set amount to, but it will, instead of dropping to 0 at the edge of the radius, it's going to drop to this 0.3%. And this transient sound radius, think of this as an extension of your original radius, where if your original radius is 100, then 300 units out from your original radius is where the transient sound radius takes place. There's some other things to note too. Right now, occlusion is set to default. And what default means is basically like certain objects will block that sound or somewhat like mute that sound from being played. And as soon as you are in line of sight of that sound, you can hear the sound again. I don't know if you can hear the difference of that or not. It's pretty subtle. You can do other ways of occluding sounds. You have choices like none, and then when I go behind the wall, you can still hear the noise. And considering that this is an open atrium, that kind of makes more sense. So we can leave occlusion to none for now. Another thing we can set it to is BSP. And because this wall is BSP, it will block the noise. But because this water surface right here is a static mesh, it won't block the noise. And then you can also do the opposite. You can set this to a static mesh. And the reason why this isn't blocking is because the collision on the static mesh has been turned off. So if we went into our static mesh and we blocked actors, we block karma, we'll basically just block everything. And now when we go under, it is blocking the sound. So obviously we don't want our water surface to be solid, so we will change that back. Let's go into our properties and go into collision. Set these back to false. And let's set our ambient sound properties to occlusion none. So this water tech ambient sound effects is basically just going to loop. And we can play with the radius of this. Let me bring the properties back up. I didn't mean to close those. So we can make the full volume radius of this something that's, more closely resembling the size of the pool. It doesn't have to be, but let's go with 256. And you can hear already it's louder because our camera right here is currently inside the radius. And let's make the outside radius something smaller, like 128. And now we're just going to move our camera back and forth and see how that sounds at different distances. So the further away we get, the quieter the sound gets. And this might actually be a little bit too loud for the water, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce the volume to 127. And now we're going to go out here, and we can barely hear the water at all. And this makes a lot more sense. So now we're back here, and it's full volume. And as soon as we exit the pool and start backing away, the volume starts to fade out. So I think that's a good first setup for our ambient water effect. Now I'm going to close this. I'm going to duplicate our ambient sound. Nope, not properties. Duplicate. There we go. Sorry, it's a little bit early in the morning this time. And I'm going to pull it over here to our light. Let's go into our side view and pull the speaker up here to where our light source is. And let's go ahead and select a nice buzzing sound for our light. I don't think any of these are going to work, so let's try a different ambience pack. Let's go for indoor ambience. And let's load the entire package. That's a good one. We'll use Buzz 4. So we're going to right click our ambient sound properties. I'm going to go into sound, and we're going to select Buzz 4 and click Use. And right now it doesn't sound the same because we have the pitch set to 95. So if we set it back to its default, we can hear the light buzzing. And we can hear it blending in between the water noise and the buzzing light noise. I also think this buzz is a little bit loud for the light, so we're going to drop the volume on this to 63. And it's a little bit more subtle now. All right, now once we've done that, I'll move this aside. We can go ahead and duplicate this sound effect for our other lights that we have in the scene. It makes sense. They're all the same type of light, so they should all pretty much make the same noise. But if you wanted them to vary a little bit between each iteration of that sound, you can always right-click the ambient sound properties and then just change the pitch slightly. It's like maybe 71. And then now this one is buzzing at a slightly different frequency. And then we can duplicate this, bring it over to our other light. And we can give this another frequency. Let's say 67. And we'll duplicate this one more time. And we'll put it over here next to our light in our new rocket launcher room. And let's lift that up just a little bit. Go to our ambient properties, sound, and we'll set this to 59. Okay, so we've got our different buzzes set up, and we got our little ambient sounds placed. Let's add a sound to our lift. Right now, our lift is silent. We don't have any noises associated with when it's running. So one thing we can do is, if we bring back our actor browser and we click on our lift, we right-click and go to Properties, we can go to this little section here called Mover Sounds, and we have a bunch of different slots that we can add sound events to for when the lift is moving or when it starts or stops. And we're basically just going to use the looping sound here. And we're going to pick one of the sounds here from the indoor ambience to be that looping sound. So we can preview a sound in here looping by clicking on this little button here, And I'm also going to disable real-time preview so that we turn the sounds in our current level off so that we can just preview these noises. So now it's silent. And let's go ahead and preview some of these sounds, because I think some of the door sounds would actually make really good sounds for our lift. I think that's good for like a starting sound. Maybe we'd use that for an opened sound. So we can use that. I think I like this one. So we're going to put that into our loop sound. And then our closed sound is when the lift has reached the apex of its trip. So we probably want something like a clank that it's reached its destination. I actually think this is a good one. So we'll use clank 2. We'll use that. Okay, now that that's all set up, let's turn our real-time preview on again. Now obviously we won't hear the noises on this lift until we actually jump into the level and play. So let's move this aside. Let's build our level. Don't necessarily need to, but it's always just good practice. And let's save. And now let's test our level. And you can hear the sounds are a little bit more subtle because I have the game volume a little bit lower than normal. But they are there. Let's go ahead and jump in. And they are very, very faint. But you can hear the water sound. And you can hear the buzz of the lights. Now, what about our lift? Our sounds are playing, but I don't think they're actually playing in the right order. So let's go ahead and fix that. Let's go into Mover Properties. Let's bring our sounds back over. Let's go to our Mover Sounds. So our open sound, I actually think we want this to be our opening sound. So let's clear that. And we were using door 1, right? Yeah. So let's use that here. It's okay, we can stop that. And then mover ambient sound. We weren't actually getting our mover sound here, so let's clear that out. And let's use mover ambient sound instead. We think we were using door 13. Yeah. So let's use that here. And our closed sounds seem to be working just fine, so we'll keep that where it is. Let's move this aside. Let's save our game and play. There we go. All right. So we have set up the sounds for our lift. We've set up our sounds for our level ambience. And that's going to quickly end our very, very short tutorial. So hopefully this helps you in setting up some really good ambience for your space. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.